The original PlayStation is a console that shifted the video game industry regarding next-level ideas and gameplay mechanics. The PS1 has some incredible games that are still discussed today, such as the Resident Evil trilogy, the Dino Crisis series, Silent Hill, Tekken 3, Parasite Eve, Final Fantasy VII, and more. However, while all these titles are excellent in their own ways, when the PS1 is talked about as the greatest of all time in categories, everyone mentions one game: Metal Gear Solid. Recently, I finally played through this game. To keep it short, it was a great experience. I was very surprised with the game during the playthrough, even though I knew most of the details about it. With all that being said, we are long overdue to talk about my experience with this tentpole title. What is incredible about Metal Gear Solid is how the game is now 26 years old, and for its age is an incredible piece of video game history. As we venture onto Shadow Moses Island, you will be greeted quickly by a cinematic video game unlike any other, even by today's standards. Metal Gear Solid has an incredible atmosphere of the Alaskan base, with the PlayStation seemingly going all out on the game with incredible presentation throughout the story, with top-tier storytelling, voice acting, graphical capability, and captivating visuals that still have a sharp sense of charm. One of my favorite aspects of playing this game was the sense of how the game felt like a movie. As characters came into frame, we would see their name and then the actor's name right below. Characters moved their heads and animated as best as they could. The visuals of Metal Gear Solid have aged well, and I can see this being a varied opinion, especially if someone who didn't grow up with the PS1 era graphics, they may find this hard to stomach. I found the visuals breathtaking, especially for their time. I loved that each character looked unique enough and had great detail for what they could use. Characters like Solid Snake, Gray Fox, and Sniper Wolf, to name a few, stand out with their fantastic designs, and every new character introduced, whether friend or foe, was a welcomed one. Not to mention the iconic and great conversations Snake would have through his codec. Some set pieces throughout Shadow Moses Island are also breathtaking, such as the Metal Gear Rex and the introductory section to getting within the base. Each area of this game feels believable with detail throughout your mission on Shadow Moses Island. The story of the game follows Solid Snake, a celebrated expert in tactical espionage for the US government. Snake has been tasked with stopping terrorist plans at a remote base in Alaska called Shadow Moses Island. Upon arriving here, Snake is thrown into a rabbit hole of events as he faces some formidable foes and a secret weapon that could start the next big war. Snake must end the events on Shadow Moses Island and return to HQ in one piece. Metal Gear Solid had so many surprises, and while I knew a bulk of them just through the mass appeal and popularity of Metal Gear Solid, I was still surprised when I got hit with a few things I was unaware of. The oddball humor mixed with political war stealth narrative truly puts Metal Gear Solid in a league of its own, not to mention the off-of-the-wall characters and scenarios that just make this franchise stand out. Psycho Mantis is a hugely popular character for his encounter in this game, and deservingly so, as he asks to change the controllers and read the player's save data on their system. To this day, very few games do this out-of-the-box thinking, and gameplay, literally, as sometimes throughout your journey, you will need to refer to the video game box art that comes with your game to help you assist on your journey throughout Metal Gear Solid. It's stuff like this that becomes genre defining. There isn't much to say negatively about my time with Metal Gear Solid. If anything, the control scheme was weird. I know this is the charm of Metal Gear Solid, but I found myself getting killed and pinned within specific spaces due to the PlayStation 1's controls. Regardless, this is far from a hindrance of my overall experience with Metal Gear Solid. For my hiccups of the gameplay and sometimes tricky boss battles, I found my playthrough wonderfully fresh. Metal Gear Solid is a franchise I have been chomping at the bit to get into. Funnily Funnily enough, the only games I've played in this franchise were Metal Gear Solid 4 and the incredible hack and slash game Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance to completion. I have tried to play Metal Gear Solid 1 a few times, but it never clicked with me until this go around. As I finished the game, I finally understood the monumental praise Metal Gear Solid 1 receives, which only gets me more and more excited to check out the rest of the series. Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 are always being talked about in some of the greatest of all time conversations. And as someone who loves video games and tries to play as many games as I possibly can, finally getting into Metal Gear Solid has been a wonderful experience. And I am excited to add this franchise to my up and coming playthroughs, as I would love to play them and especially get all these games under my belt and finally play the new remake of Metal Gear Solid 3, which is Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. So that's it for this episode today. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments down below what you thought about the video. Do you play Metal Gear Solid? Have you played any of the games? I really enjoyed this game. Finally giving it a full shot and seeing it through. This game is insane, man. And some of the vistas and things you see are crazy, especially for the PlayStation 1. I am so excited to get into the rest of the series, and I cannot wait to do that in the upcoming months. So, with that all being said, please let me know again in the comments down below what you thought. And as always, my name is Brandon, and I will see you all next time.